Okay, so in our environments, we meet situations like this. I'll just like us to talk about it a little bit. You tell me what you see, what you think the problem is, and what strategies you can put in place to actually mitigate something like this or avoid it at all, altogether. So let's have some hands raised so we can start the collaboration. Who's gonna go first? Or do I call names? Please just raise your hand or unmute yourself. Tell me what you see. Tell me if there's a problem. And tell me how you can fix this. Tell us, sorry. Is anyone ready? Paula, can you try? Is Paula there? Femi, can you try?
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
This is Innocent.
Okay, Innocent.
Yeah. Sorry, how do we differentiate the boxes? Is it description, up right, up left? And
Yes,
down?
so this is the first.
Okay.
Then you go to your right.
Okay.
And then this is the third, and then this is the fourth.
That's good. So I think there is a problem in 3 of the boxes. I think the third one is what is right for a team. I guess the square, circle, and triangle means they have different skills, or those are their different skill sets, and they are looking at problems, which I think the third one, box 3 is different people with different skill set have different opinion over something, and they are trying to resolve it, and they are coming into an agreement. Boss 1, everybody with different skill set, and they are just agreed. Probably they don't just want to face it. They just want to agree and move on. But that's not good. They are not addressing the issues. Boss 2, everybody's just looking. Nobody is doing anything. They're just like in a shock. What is this? Boss 3, everybody agreed, have a knowledge of, and boss 4, sorry, everybody has agreed to the same thing, and they're all having the same perspective of that issue. Well, if they are mature team that have their skill set is cut across with experience and everything, well, that's good. But the boss 3 has a right configuration of a team where everybody come with his idea. At the end of the day, it transit and they agreed. And
what we're gonna do, we need to enclose this bitch ASAP. I'm telling y'all. So tell you.
Sorry, I'll meet that person.
Yeah.
I literally just said that. I'm like,
So
look, I said it should be.
They agreed, coming from a particular shape, and then fine-tuning, upgrading, improving, and researching, and then before they get to the exact solution they needed, or that is required from them as a team. So I will go with box 3. I think that's basically explain a team work where everybody don't have to agree, don't have to see the same pictures of what a problem that is, portrayed before them, and everybody have to come with all idea. At the end of the day, we have to disagree and agree at what the best way to get to this solution, and we all come together with our shared knowledge and approach the problem and then produce a solution. So I think box 3 is what I would go with. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Innocent, for that contribution. I don't see hands raised. Please, I'm going to call another name. Ruru, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand because I have noise in my background. But what I think is for box 1, everybody had different views. Like everybody thought differently, but they just agreed. Like Innocent had rightly said, they just wanted to move on. So basically, like if everybody there represents the Scrum team, it means they are not in sync. And then in box 2 with the O, it seems like maybe they realized that they are not in sync, but they still did not get that gray area out of it. Then in box 3, where we have the aha, it seems like they were coming in sync, but not totally, but at least everybody brought their ideas, and there is a flow. There is a flow, like they are brainstorming and kind of they are already in the like norming stage. And then in box 4, there is sync. Everybody now sees it in the same light. Like the icon there is green for everybody. So I don't know, but green just means like there is progress. The blockers, impediments, questions have been asked. Communication is rolling smoothly. So that's where they really agree. That's what I see in the picture. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ruru. LC, do you want to try? Is Elsie there? Femi, can we have you try? Don't go all silent on me now. Guys, raise those hands, please. I'll call another name. Jalika, you want to try? Hi, why are you guys doing me like this now? Okay, 76 can't talk at work. The next person I'm going to call, she knows herself. Just unmute yourself and start talking. Ah, she actually wants me to call. Okay, Lois. Lois, I can hear you.
I said, let others talk. I know them. I'm trying to let others analyze it.
Okay. Okay. All right, let me take the question again because some people just joined now. So this picture that I'm trying to show everybody, it is something that you can encounter as a Scrum Master. Now, what do you think about it? What are your thoughts about it? What do you think is happening in each of the pictures? And in what way can you help your team solve this problem if you identify that there's a problem in it? So it's a whole scenario from stage 1 to 2 to 3 and 4. So tell us what is happening. Kenny, thank you. Kenny, go ahead.
Hi, so my name is Kenny. I think that what we have here is a situation where, let's say, the 3 members of the dev team probably all have their own ideas of exactly what to do, right? And then in the second image, not until they actually get to talk about it or make it visible exactly what they are thinking, right? So that's why I think we have the board. I think the black represents like a Scrum board, right? So not until they openly get to discuss, which moves to the third photo, do they realize that, oh, I was thinking about a triangle, you were thinking about a circle, and they all try to sort of meet each other at a point, and then you realize that together they have this type of circle that is all, and that's where the minds all meet, and that's in the fourth image. So that's where the minds all meet, and then you have this circle that looks like it has rough edges. And the difference between the first photo, which says "I'm glad we all agree," and the fourth photo, which says "I'm glad we all agree," is that the first one is not a true representation of the agreement, and the fourth one is a true representation of the agreement. So yeah.
Okay. So how do you, as a Scrum Master, prevent this situation?
Okay, I guess it would be by letting the team members get to freely talk and discuss what they think are their point of views and their perspectives with regards to the work at hand. Having open dialogues with the team. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for trying, Kenny. Awesome, awesome. So we have 3 more minutes before the facilitator takes over for tonight. So I'm just going to share my opinion about this. So if I take a look at this, I'm thinking about the backlog refinement session, right? We have requirements that have come in from the customer, and the team is expected to work on those items. Now imagine that there is no product owner to explain these requirements to the developers. And then the developers they have their own idea about what they're about to develop. Okay, on the first photograph, the first person says, okay, this is what is required. We're going to do this. I know, this is what we're going to do. The second person says, okay, this is what we're going to do. And feels like a circle, meaning that if you see the circle is different from the square, meaning that they have different opinions or different points of view on how they see the requirement. And then likewise, the third developer with the triangle. So you see, without the product owner or a subject matter expert there to actually explain to the developers what they're about to develop, you will realize that the developers have different ideas. And because they don't have that conversation around that requirement, they think that they're all on the same, they all see the same thing, you understand? They all understand the requirement the same way. They have the same point of view. There is no discussion. Remember, when we talk about user stories, we talk about the card, we talk about the conversation, and we talk about the confirmation. So in the first picture, they don't have that conversation. And so everybody, each person thinks that they know what it entails to develop that requirement. And then we move to the second picture. Now they kind of have that discussion. Somebody explains, or no, before they even come to that conversation, they say, okay, let's see what you think. What do you think about this requirement? And then the one in blue says, okay, this is what I think. And the second one says, this is what I think. And the third one says, this is what I think. And all of them are like, oh, so we were actually having different viewpoints on this same requirement. So you can see that when you don't have that discussion, the developers have different points of view. It doesn't mean that their points of view are wrong. It could just mean that they see it from a different angle point. So in the third, you need to have that conversation with the developers and the product owner. And so when the requirements are carefully analyzed, explained to the developers, then they now bring in their ideas together. And the one with the square will say, okay, I think that this one needs this to be developed first, then this one, then this one. The one with the circle brings it in his own point of view, the one with the triangle. And so they put these ideas together. And then they come now to a consensus on the fourth picture. So they kind of now have a shared understanding that is what it means. They have now a shared understanding of what it takes to build that requirement. So this is what is very important in your backlog refinement meetings. You need your developers to have that shared understanding of a story before you consider that story okay to start estimating or splitting or doing whatever you want to do with that story. If the developers don't share that common understanding, then you cannot proceed. Any questions before we move to this facilitator? Okay. Passy, over to you. I'll make you the presenter now.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Am I mute?
We can hear you.
Now we can hear
Hello,
you.
Agile Minds. You guys are so quiet. What's going on?
I was about asking the same thing.
You guys don't want to hear my voice today, or maybe you all had a bad day. So it's time to wake up. It's time to cheer up. And it's time to open up and talk.
We're happy
Ready?
to hear your voice.
Thank you. So we'll kick off right away. I'm sorry that I was a little late. And before I go on, please, I got low battery. I was out of home, so I hope it takes me right up to where we intend to. So we are going to do something like a little icebreaker, maybe icebreaker or maybe something like. Okay, so I just got word that I'm going to be having an assistant, maybe Mary, so thank you. So we are going to start. Please, can we all just share any time that we screwed up? we got anything screwed up at our jobs or something, or anywhere else. It's just a little exercise for us. Let's just share anytime we felt that we actually screwed up, especially at our job. Because I want us to all feel like we are vulnerable. We are not the super powerful people that we never make errors. So can we just, so that as we go on, we don't feel uncomfortable to speak up or to share our ideas. So can we go on to just tell us any point in time when we felt that we screwed it up? Hello.
Seasoned Scrum Masters. People don't want to talk.
Scrum Master, speak up.
Screw up.
Scrum Masters are great communicators. We need those skills right now. Speak up. Please. I've never spoken in this group, so if I can talk this way today, then you should know it's serious.
Maybe you should call names.
Okay. So Mary, you know I like your face, so you can go on.
Why did you call me? I was the one that suggested that.
Yeah, so charity begins at home.
Oh my God. I really can't remember anything, but like screw up. The only thing that comes to mind is, sometimes we do retro and it's really very fun. Sometimes you do retro and you're like, oh my God, this retro did not go well. And sometimes it's not the fault of the Scrum Master. Like it's not my fault, but sometimes, it's just easy to put that blame on yourself. Like, okay, maybe this facilitation didn't go well and all of that. I really can't remember a time where I felt like, because we all try to play it safe at work. Maybe that's why everybody's silent. I don't know about anyone else with experience. I don't know. I don't have any good example for that.
This is Felix. I'll share an experience, but I wouldn't call it a screw up.
Okay,
So
thank you.
the first time that I facilitated a meeting, it wasn't a Scrum ceremony. Sometimes when you get into your environment, you're given other mantles to do, like facilitate other events. So I got the chance to facilitate it's like a portfolio meeting for the CEO and all this stuff. And after that call, I felt I had screwed up because I didn't really have, I guess I didn't really have enough confidence. I was doubting myself. So I was like, oh my God, like was I able to facilitate this meeting the right way? Like, do I still have this job because of this call? I was so scared. Like,
I know.
So personally, I thought I had screwed things up because just imagine facilitating these CEOs and stuff. They don't even give you the chance to be able to handle the call. Everybody has an opinion. They want to speak. It was hard. I still facilitate that meeting, and it's still the same way. But now, I mean, after the first time, you get used to it, and then you be like, and I had talked with my reporting manager, who is actually the CEO, and she gave good feedback that, oh, Felix, you do a great job. So that actually made me feel bad. But initially, I thought I'd screwed up. So yeah, that's my take. The thing
Yeah.
Sayo has is
I
hands
think I
up.
remember one now.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Thanks for that. You just joggled my memory.
All right.
Was that Philip?
Felix, yes.
Felix, okay, yeah. So I think it was my first time facilitating the grooming. I think it was grooming. And we were talking about a story, maybe grooming or planning. I said, like, oh, Mary, can you split, just split that story like clone? I'm like, what are you talking about in my head? Because I don't know what splitting or cloning is in Jira. So I was like, yeah, sure. Can you at that time, I didn't know what to do, sincerely. In my head, I'm like, oh my gosh. Because, when we're interviewing, you're like, oh yes, I've used Jira, I've used Trello, I've used everything. So I was trying to Google, but then the time frame was so short. So what I did, the person that asked me to, because we had the tech lead, we always have our tech lead with almost all the ceremonies except retro. It was one saying, okay, yeah, I just split. So I was like, I don't know what's going on, maybe my internet or something. Can you do it from your hand? So then they're like, oh, sure, we can do it from my head. And that was how I helped myself out of that situation. But then immediately after that meeting, I went to find out where to clone and split stories in Jira. But then in my head, I was like, I hope these people would not know that I didn't know. That feeling, I hope they wouldn't know that, I was just, I didn't know it and I was just trying to play smart. But then it was just all that. And I think I spoke with someone that helped. And at the time, my husband, he was just like his imposter syndrome, and it happens to you, anywhere you get. So even if you've been doing this for years, if you get a new job, you will still feel this way. But I was like, no, I just didn't do it well. I said I have this experience. Anyway, to cut the long story short, I learned about it. But right now, just like Felix said, it's the same thing that, we're still doing. I confidently still tell them to do stuff, even, when I know how to do it right now. And I don't feel that way. So I guess it was just, being the first time and that feeling of not being the first time. I don't know if that helps someone. Or if that's screw up.
Thank you, Mary. Wonderful experience there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And we have Sayo's hand up. So Sayo, can we hear from you?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So
good evening.
I'm actually not a practicing Scrum Master. I just started my studies in Scrum, but I have a mentor, and he shared one story with us that I think is worth sharing. He said when he first started as a Scrum Master, he had the habit so he led different teams, and he had this habit of comparing the team, measuring their success and everything like that. And he observed that, so he was actually doing that to motivate the team. But he observed that, comparing teams and, measuring their successes against each other was not really working out for him. He was actually demotivating the teams rather than motivate them. So he had to change that practice, and he dealt with the teams as they were, and he tried not comparing them, and he saw that actually helped better and motivated them better. So I just felt it was a story was shared.
Thank you, Sayo. Thank you. It was really an experience worth sharing. So the take home there is that we should, what do you think is the take home?
For me, I think different teams have different skill sets, different expertise. So it's like for people that have kids, it's like comparing your kids and trying to say, oh, this one is better than the other one. Definitely you're going to demotivate the ones that are not really up to par. So different people have different strengths. It's better to work on their strengths rather than comparing and contrasting.
Great. Okay, so Mary, you have something?
Yes, I want to like share another takeaway that could be helpful for the upcoming Scrum Masters and everyone practicing. So I guess that was like true velocity. A lot of people make that mistakes of using velocity to compare and gauge the team's efforts. And when it is not, it is only to help the team to know how and what to plan for the next sprint. And so sometimes we have stakeholders asking for velocity reports. I do send that to already. I did one today, but we have to coach if stakeholders are doing that. And if we have multiple teams, that this team, having higher velocity does not mean that they are better than the other team who has a lower velocity, because velocity measures the outcome and not the output of a sprint. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it obviously does. Keep the hands raised. I'm not seeing any hands. Where are all the people? Scrum Master, speak up. Okay, so we have, sorry if I don't call your name properly. Yellow.
Yes, you have it correct. A good example I had was my first stand-up that I was hosting by myself. I had two teams, and for some funny reason, I scheduled 8 to 8:15, 8:15 to 8:30. The second team, I forgot to add the WebEx invite. So you can imagine you're finishing one 8:16. I had to rush off that particular one to jump onto the second one, and there was no WebEx invite. And I kept seeing the message: there's no invite in the there's no WebEx link in the meeting invite. I was panicking. I was like, damn, they're gonna know that this guy hasn't really done this before. The interview, we all give all those nice presentation, nice delivery, but it's like, man, these people will catch me that this guy's WebEx skills is still at that low level. Even that particular meeting, I have to be sincere, things like reoccurrence, things like time. It was even so funny that there was another one almost the next day where instead of 8 a.m., I scheduled 8 p.m. So luckily, one of the other guys that was nice enough noticed it and told me. I just noticed that, why is it not showing on my calendar? Of course, I was panicking that, why is this not showing on my calendar? But some other guy some guy offshore, he now replied that this meeting is set for, I think that was about 6 a.m. IST. So like the meeting is set for 6 a.m. IST. So I was thinking, what does this guy mean by 6 a.m. IST? I felt, the meeting is 8. So I had to almost go to Google, compare IST, do that conversion. And luckily, because the guy said, but this meeting is 6 a.m., but I can try and make it. I was like, okay. And people on IST time, if you tell them 5 a.m., one of them will try and tell you they can make it, instead of them to tell you no, so that there's a problem. I just felt, okay, there's something about the way this guy responded that, like, if you are the boss, if you insist I should come, I will make way for that. So I was like, why is he making way to come when this meeting is meant to be 6 p.m.? Why is he making way that he'll come? So I now went to check it again because it was very hectic. I had to call someone to say, please come and help me look at WebEx, Outlook. It was really embarrassing because I was like, hey, they've caught me today. All those beautiful stories.
I'm laughing
this
out.
so-called experienced Scrum Master, small thing he cannot do.
Oh my God.
Very funny.
And it was not funny at all then because I was, when you say, I was almost, I was shaking.
I can
when you start shaking and your fingers are shaking, that they've caught me today. The work I haven't paid tithe on, I will lose it.
You're funny. Wow.
So one of those.
That was good.
Oh wow, that was really good. That was a good experience you shared, and I like the way you added life to it because so it was, you could really explain it such that it could make us feel. That was good. So we are going to be having Two's hand is up. Two, can we hear from you? Did I get it right?
think that's
Are we there?
B-O, Bo.
Oh,
Sorry?
okay. So it's bow. I was looking at it that is it two or bow? Is bow not two?
Bo? No, what I see is 2 in bracket.
Yes, B-O.
Oh,
Two in bracket, and then that's
sorry, I'm seeing
I don't
something
know.
else. Ah, yes, I see Bo now. But before it wasn't that. Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm new into the job as well, and I've moved so many times. There was one time I scheduled a meeting and I titled it it was supposed to be the daily stand-up, and I titled it Bomi's personal room, you know. So but then it was a mistake. So my PO now, after the daily stand-up, she now told me that she noticed that I made a mistake because I was supposed to update the date and update my settings on the daily stand-up. So she knew it was a mistake, but she called my attention to it. She said, I didn't see that if I'd seen it, I would have changed it. And I said, thank you so much. I said, oh my goodness, all these years of experience that I'm claiming. So many, I've made so many blunders, but they know the agile thing is new and people are still learning in my company. So that's the only way I've been like when you make mistakes, they'll just overlook it. Nobody will say anything because
No,
it's
they
as if
won't even
everybody's
think it's a
even
mistake.
guessing.
I don't even think they know, they feel like it's a mistake, like just because you're new. They feel like anybody can make that mistake. It's just because we are new, that's why we feel like that.
You feel like that.
Yeah.
So there's
They
so
don't
many
feel
issues
like
like that. I can't even remember. But that's the one I remembered vividly when this guy just said his own about the timing and things like that.
Okay, thank you. That was nice. Thank you for sharing your experience. We are all learning from all those, so it's giving us more. Yeah, we're learning. So we have another hand up. Who is that? I still see Bo here. So is Bo's hand up?
Yeah, I think that was the oh yeah, she removed it.
So okay, so there's no other hand up. Is there any other person who wants to talk? I like the fact that you were snappy. Your presentation was short and concise. So is anyone ready to share their own experience? Okay, let me go ahead and share mine. So in my team, there was once when I was supposed to give a report about an impediment that I was supposed to help the team take out. It was an external impediment. And so the team has it at one of its, how do we call it? Terms of engagement. That's how we call it in our company. There are rules of engagement, sorry. And so they have it that once you talk and you're being vague, or you're going off topic, or you're being too lengthy, we have a boozer. And so someone is just going to press it like booze, and it's so much noise and embarrassing. And so there was this day when I was supposed to do this presentation at the daily stand-up, and I had not done it. I had to update them about the impediment, how far I'd gone with. So I was like, okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. As we discussed yesterday, I was supposed to call to the customer service to get clarification of this, that. And so I called and I left a voice message, and I also left an email, and it was like, what? Email? Call? It was something that was supposed to be urgent. You don't call. You don't leave a voice message. You don't send an email. you actually call them. And before I could finish, there was this person who was like, booze, and it was so embarrassing. And then I said, okay, I'm sorry about that. I was just I had so much of a full plate yesterday. So today, today, sorry, I'm going to call them and maybe drive there to make sure that it happens. And that was what happened. It was embarrassing, but yet the lesson there is that even me, the Scrum Master, I'm held accountable. And there is no strong person, there is no big person. And so even a new team member who was there, it was his first day, he felt really comfortable. He came out and said, oh, wow, this is really good. In my former organization where I worked, there's no way you could do that to the Scrum Master, because either he hold it against you, but I feel more welcome and more comfortable in this place, because I know that, okay, now we are all open to making mistakes. So that was a good way to tell him that we are all welcome to be vulnerable, and we all hold each other accountable for our errors. So I don't know if it makes any sense to anyone, but that was when I screwed it up.
It does. Absolutely.
So maybe we're going to go to our next question. The roundup about this, I brought this as an icebreaker, and not just as an icebreaker, but also for us to learn. It finally took a different turn, because I wasn't expecting all the new Scrum Masters to tell us their experiences and all that, but it's really been helpful. Yeah, so thank you all for making those remarks. So we are going to be, I don't know if anyone has any questions that they would like us discussing today, just drop them on the chat. So while we are doing that, I'm going to be asking this question. It's an interview question. Having worked for so long as a Scrum Master, what does Agile mean to you?
Bum, 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 bum.
Hi. Agile minds. Did my phone just run dead?
Okay.
Bo's hand is up.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, Bo.
Yeah. Yeah, in my little way, I just want to say agile now means it's just like a way of life to a Scrum Master or in the Scrum world, where the product that you're developing is tested, concurrently with when you're, developing the product, so within a short period of time, agile is it's a smart way of developing products, where you have the effect or the response from your customer, from your end user, or from your stakeholders, testing the product while you're developing it. They give you feedback from that. That's just what I say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. That was a good Good one there. Innocent.
Okay, yes. I haven't worked for so long in as a Scrum Master. Um, what Agile means to me, Agile is a way of life now when it comes to software development. I use Agile principle to coach teams to produce software that add values, that meets the business need, that create values to get the business requirement. So working as a Scrum Master for so long with Agile principle coaching, facilitating, making sure that my team produce the software that meets the business needs and the customer values and the economic value for the corporation. Agile is what I know, or how I know good software can be produced. Agile, with all its underlying frameworks, is just the best way any software can produce within a time frame that can meet the business need, that can meet the that can get to the market as when possible, and that can allow for upgrade and allow for feedback for improvement. Agile is just like the best way to do it, and that is how I feel after working so much as a Scrum Master. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights. So, is your hand still up? Can you please take it down? Let's see which other hand is up. Okay, so where they? I hope I got it right. Wade's hand is up.
Yeah, it's just Wade.
Wade, oh.
Good evening, guys. The way I see Agile, for me, I haven't been in it for a while. I would say I look at Agile now from another perspective as being in school, and me as the teachers and having the pupils, like the students in school, where they do recurrent tests on what has been taught so far, and before they actually get ready for the exam. And the stakeholders for me are the parents who are waiting for results to be sure that their kids are actually doing well in school, basically. So whatever method or whatever means, either you're a math teacher or an English teacher, whatever method or means that you use to deliver that value in those students concurrently, probably through constant maybe testing, in class, having tests in class to be able to be sure that that the team has, or the student has the velocity to get the job done. And your students are also, knowing what you've been teaching them in first place before they even get to the exam, where they're on their own and they get the result for all the effort they put throughout the semester. So at the end of the day, the person that is more worried about this progress is the parents who are pumping money into the student and want to see a result at the end of the day. So that's my own kind of like an overview of how I've seen Scrum grow, for a while now, and know that that's like a process, just like when you're in Scrum, now you obviously have to groom and teach and coach the developers and the best practices, how to achieve the aim at the end of the day. And your stakeholders for sure are the parents, who are obviously at the end of the pipeline waiting for the results. Yeah, that's my one quarter. I'm done. Hello?
Please, can you take down your hand? Good job. Wait, that was good. So can you put down your hand, please? Let's see which hand is up. Okay. So who is next in line? What does agile mean to you?
Okay, quickly. So if I was asked that, I would say agile is an ability to move with quick, easy and grace, an ability to move quickly and adapt. It's a mindset. You know, that's what I would say. And then it's just like an umbrella that has a lot of frameworks, that can be used to achieve that adaptability. Simple, I'm done.
Thank you for those. It's the ability to move quick, gracefully, and adapt. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We got that. I'm sorry for the noise around here. So who else is taking the baton?
I think there's been a lot of great answers for this question. And I think with Mary's answer, that kind of summed it all. So maybe we could move on to the next question. What do you think?
I concur.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe we've taken too much time there. Okay, so excuse me, let me check what next question is.
And I have some questions too while you're looking.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
All right. So there's this question that says, who should be writing user story? And what is the good structure of a good user story? As an interview question, who, in your own opinion, do you think should be writing user story? And what is the good structure of a good user story? Okay, Diolu. Okay, Diolu.
Let me try that. I think typically it should be the product owner who represents the business with the input from the team to write the user story. And the format or the structure we should be writing the user story is, some say use the Gherkin structure, where it's easy to understand and it's easy for everybody to focus on from the user perspective. We want to know, what does the user want to do and what result does it want to get? So, as you write it, sometimes as a user, I want to do this so that this can happen. So basically, like in the Gherkin way as well, what do you want to do? What do you want to happen? And then what? That's a good way to write it. So everybody knows what the customer would expect or the end user would expect when he performs the function we are designing for. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. Who else wants to try? Don't forget, we are all learning here, and this is not like a hot seat, so everybody's free to talk. Even if you think what you want to say is, just say it. You never can tell.
Okay, I want to try. Sorry, I haven't had.
Let's go ahead.
I've never worked before, so I'm new in this channel. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So I think, in my opinion, if the product owner brings the product vision, if everybody understand the product vision, like the Scrum Master and the developers, so I think the developers have to write the user stories because they are the one who's going to work on the user stories. So if the user stories now are not like well written or they don't follow the invest criteria, then the Scrum Master or the PO, they can, make the story look good, look short, so that I do follow the invest criteria. So that's how, that's what I wanted to say.
Follow-up question.
Okay.
All right. So, like, are you saying that the Scrum Master can also, if the story is not looking good, so the Scrum Master should rewrite it? Is that what you're saying?
Not rewrite it, but help them to write it, like help them to follow the invest criteria.
The right process. Okay.
The right process, yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I know an interviewer can like sweep you off your feet like that and say, all right. Yeah, that's very good. Thank you. All right. Maybe we can take one or two more answers on this question before we move forward. So anyone else want to try? Great Scrum Masters in the house. I know we're here. I'm gonna call names. Do I have a go ahead? Felix. Okay. All right. I see someone. Olawale.
Please hold on. I think someone was that Kadia too who spoke right now?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Let me remove my hands.
Okay, yes, you and Diolu, please put your hands down. I'll lower your hands for you. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mary.
All right. Thanks for catching that. All right, Olawale, are you here? Let's speak from your brain. Okay. I know some of us are like far from our laptops or phones. So I'm gonna call someone else. Temi? Hello. Okay, what's going on tonight? Should we do an exercise to know who is active on this call or not?
Yes, please, let's do it.
Because it feels like a lot of people are not. And I can only see one page. Wait. Shaya, you want to talk?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think writing the user story is actually the job of, I would say maybe primarily the product owner, but since the most Scrum teams are cross-functional, the team should also be able to write the user stories in case the product owner is not chanced to write the user story. So I think it's practically the job of product owners and the Scrum team. And as Kadiatu said, it should follow the invest criteria where the user stories are not dependent on other stories, and the investing, it's dependent, negotiable, and all the like. So it should be concise, but I think it's practically the job of the developers should also be able to write the user stories because they are cross-functional and they know the job. So yeah, that's my input.
All right. That was great. And I think that sums it all. I just want to add that everybody on the Scrum team can write user story. So I know that Scrum.org or Scrum Alliance does not really specify who should be writing or not, but everybody can write user story. And don't forget, user story can range from bugs, to like tasks to stories. It could be anything. I know some of us, we put action item from retros into our sprints just for visibility. That's a user story. So I know we're like thinking about it in a technical way. And then sometimes from other teams, if there are dependencies, they tell you just want to remember, or they tell you, okay, can you create a story for this? So it is a skill every Scrum Master should try to have. And so if you are asked as an interview, it's a tricky question.
He does
If you're not talking, can you please go on mute?
ever since I started to be live alone, he got very
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. All right, so anybody can write user story, but ideally the product owner in an ideal Scrum team, the team and the product owner would be writing user story. It's not just going to be the product owner, because a lot of times the team will realize that they have to create a story from another story that they are talking about. And then sometimes our grooming, that happens, and then immediately they're creating that story and adding it. So it's like, oh, hey, so can you quickly add that story and we'll talk about it. So,
totally normal, but like my dog hated it.
For those of us that are not working yet, it's not just the product owner alone that writes user story. Also, the team writes user story. And the structure, we all know what structure it should follow before we can say that it's looking good. Yeah, so that's just my own opinion. I don't know, does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Can I add something? And it's also, it can be specific to the organization, because depending on what organization you work for, they can dictate who is actually involved in writing the user story. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chanel.
And can I add something, please?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. And also, we should take note that when writing user stories, it should capture the whole software development life cycle from onset to deployment. So the team should always have that in mind when they're writing the user stories. That is why we have vertical slicing of stories. That is where it came from. Yep. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. So great answers. I believe that we've gotten something from that. Any question?
Excuse me, I have a follow-up question with regards to what the last speaker just said.
Okay.
When he says that the user story has to be written following all the life cycle, is he talking about the user story or he's talking about the acceptance criteria? I just want to be clear.
I'm not sure we can hear you like very well. It's like a little bit modular. Can you
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but not.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, way better.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I was trying to find a follow-up question to the last speaker when he mentions that the user story has to kind of like follow the life cycle based on the organization. I don't know if I got it correctly. So I'm just trying to inquire, is he talking about the user story or is he talking about the acceptance criteria? I'm just being curious.
All right, so this is Felix. I'm talking about the user story itself. I mean, the acceptance criteria actually is part of the description of the user story, which particularly shows what is needed to be done. So, I mean, the whole idea of a user story when they're writing it is for them to know that this user story should encompass all the whole process from onset to deployment. It should include testing. That's why we have invest criteria, right? It should be independent, negotiable, estimatable,
and testable.
And testable. So each user story, when written, the developer has to have that in the back of their mind, that this is a story that we could be able to start it, write the code, test it, and then it should be deployed. It should pass the test, and also it should be deployed to production, whatever your organization is, whether deploying to production is the end game or deploying to test or sandbox, whatever. That's what I wanted to say.
All right, thanks, Felix. Lois, does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I was just trying to figure out. Anyway, that's fine. Yeah, but it was partially, yeah. I'm just trying to, I think I'm thinking out of the box here, but that's okay. Thank you.
Oh no, you're not. It's fine. So if you still partial, can you like, um, what were you expecting so that maybe someone else can help try and answer that?
No. It's me thinking out of the box, but I'm not disagreeing with what Felix is saying. I was just trying to analyze based on what he said because I was more into going to the end when user stories. But I guess like the other speaker said, it also depends on your organization because I know sometimes you don't really necessarily put all those details, in the user story, so long as at least we know what the developers need to develop, what the end user needs, and how that can be achieved. But I'm not, opposing what he said. I was just trying to see if all those basic details necessarily have to be in every user story, so long as certain, aspects of the invest has been met. That's just what I was trying to find out. Because I know that in the acceptance criteria, you can equally write out certain things that kind of like validates that user story has met all, the necessary aspects, the end user or aspect, what the stakeholders really are demanding for that particular, increment during that sprint or for that story. That was just what I was trying to find out. But I'm not opposing what he's saying. I'm just, like I said, I'm just thinking out of the box.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And thinking out of the box is good and it's great. So don't feel bad for thinking out of the box. I was just like, because we are all here learning. I think one thing to sum that up is that a user story must deliver value. It must deliver value. But I know what you're trying to ask is, does it necessarily have to be like that every time? And I think the answer is ideally yes, but in the real world, no. At least from my own experience.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. That
okay.
Yeah. From the books, yes, that's exactly what we all want. But ideally, the real world, I guess it's not always following every detail.
Yes.
Every point of that invest, but necessarily, but at least, the end product is what matters, and the acceptance criteria has been fulfilled and the definition of that met is really what matters to me at the end of the day, because it's the functioning product that we're looking for.
Yeah, and in a way, if it's delivering value, it's gonna reflect in the acceptance criteria. What value it is delivering. That's what we have in the acceptance criteria. And I think from Felix's response, our job and responsibilities as Scrum Masters is, yes, it might not be like that in your environment, but it's a thing, it is something that you can start coaching your team about. It might not be immediately, but we have to like help them to get to that level where they write good user story that delivers value. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. I saw someone trying to raise their hands. Was that you, Lady N?
I think it's Sayo.
Yeah.
Okay, Shayo.
Yeah. So I actually have a question. I'm not answering this. I think we are done with this question, right?
Yes, I want to believe.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a question about scaling a development team. Like, how do you scale a development team? I've never practiced Scrum. I'm new to the process. But I had someone ask me a question about how do you scale a development team? Or do I have an experience scaling a development team? And I don't. So I don't know if anyone in the house can help answer that question.
Okay, to the house, safe experts. But is it scaling a development team? Okay, the person might not, because I'm thinking, how do you scale a team? Because you don't scale a team. Well, yeah, who wants to help? Who wants to give this a shot? All right, I'm gonna start calling names now. Pum, 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 pum. Tiki. TJ, hi. Hey, people are like shying away. All right, Chanel, do you want to help?
I didn't hear the question. Can you give me the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, hi, this is TJ. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that.
Oh, TJ, thank you for responding at least. Thank you. All right. So Shaya, do you want to repeat the question for Chanel?
Yeah, so the question is, the person actually asked that, do I have an experience scaling a development team? Which I don't. So I want to know, what's the process of scaling a team? Is there anything like scaling? I don't know. I tried reading up, I tried making a research, but I didn't see anything tangible online.
Well, I know that it's skilled environment, that's skilled agile environment, but scaling development team, yeah, never heard that before. But I know that organizations scale up, the environment to the safe environment, which is called the skilled agile environment. So I guess when the environment has been scaled, the developers have been scaled. I don't know.
Okay, maybe that was what the person was trying to say.
I think that was what the person was trying to say. And that's called SAFE, Shayo. So if you've been hearing SAFE, that's what it means. And it's another framework, that can be used to like under Agile, but then it's used in an enterprise level, like at an enterprise level. And what I mean by that is if it's a small organization, they might not have to scale, but there's a number of people that an organization, number of teams rather, that an organization we have, that scaling will be the best option for them, just to help, manage dependencies and all, and a lot of those things. And I think it's about 50, I don't really remember, but if, say you have like 50 members, like 10 teams, then you should start scaling. And that's what is called SAFE. And the full meaning of SAFE is Scaled Agile Framework. So you can go read about that, but someone else can also try. But I believe that was what the person was asking, because you don't scale just a single development team.
Remember, not all the interviewers know Agile.
Was
not
that
everybody
helpful?
is interviewing you is aware of Agile or knows Agile. Some of them are just there to interview you for the organization, but probably they don't really know every, aspect or principle as concerning Agile. So some people might not be able to know how to phrase their questions, but definitely you might, want to repeat the question back to them and ask if this is what they mean.
Yes, that's a good point, Lois. And
all right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So was that helpful, Shaya?
Yeah, it was. I'll go do more research on the SAFE.
Yes.
Framework.
Yeah, and there's also a certification. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And also, I wonder if it was in the job description where they asked you about SAFE, because again, that is more of a SAFE question. So I wonder if you read the job description good enough to see if they included anything about scaling or anything, or was that like a trick question? So sometimes I guess we just gotta read the job description better. So, because sometimes whatever's written in a job description can be some questions in your interview. So anything that's in a job description, I would just make sure I'm up to date on whatever they talk about in there. Thank you.
Yep, that's very valid. Thank you, Chanel, for that. And just like Lois said, sometimes they ask you questions, maybe the thought process or the people asking, because a lot of times recruiters themselves don't know anything about Agile or Scrum. So they're just gonna like ask you like random questions that they've had before. And anytime you're not sure of the question, try and ask them again. Like, okay, can you like repeat the question? Just so you can get exactly what they're trying to ask. And all right. Thank you. I think we can move on to the next question. So I got this right in my inbox right now. I have it listed, but I got it. So it's a scenario-based question. It says, tell me about a time when the team wasn't meeting commitments. How did you know and what did you do? Like, how did you help your team? Should I repeat that? Do you want me to repeat that, or we got that? Hello? Wow. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So the question again, tell me about a time when your team wasn't meeting their commitments. How did you know? But of course, you know they're not meeting. But it's an interview question. And what did you do to help the team? How did you address it? It's a scenario-based question. So this is going to be like telling a story, but we can also try and answer. So anybody can give it a shot, anyone at all.
I'm just gonna go briefly. I don't have a scenario, but I would try to use a root cause analysis to get to the root as to why things are not being met. And I will also probably try the 5 why techniques. And that's all I have to say about that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for attempting. Okay. Anyone else? Masters. Felix.
Mary, you're picking on me. I'm driving. You said, what was the question again?
Tell me about a time when your team wasn't making commitments, and how did you help them? What did you
All right,
do?
thank you. Thank you so much for this question. In my past environment, I mean, where I'm working right now, actually had a situation like this. Just last sprint, I wouldn't say they didn't meet commitment, just that we didn't hit some of the goals that we set for sprint planning. I mean, sometimes we do come out with 3 or 4 goals. So at the end of the sprint, usually mid-sprint, we do like a check-in to see how the team is doing and stuff. So at the end of the sprint, we realized that the team were not able to meet our goal 4. So at retrospective, I brought it up as a topic and then trying to find out what went wrong. First of all, you need to find out what went wrong, and then be able to assess how you'll be able to help the team, right? As the last speaker just said, you could start with the 5 why questions. So I started by asking, why didn't we meet this goal? Did we face any issues? Because we all attend daily Scrum every day, and it seems nobody really brought up the hard challenges. So by using the 5 why techniques, we're able to identify that, it seems some of the user stories were not estimated properly. So when they got into the sprint, it was bigger than and more complex than expected. So what we set as an action item was, okay, during refinement, we'll try as much as possible to drill through each of the user stories when we're refining it and make sure we ask all the questions. Always advise the team to keep on asking questions, because during planning, this is the time you're planning. So this is the time you have to ask all questions so that we'll be able to hit the goal. If we don't hit these goals, we all fail as a team. It's not only developers that fail, it's everyone that fails, as the whole Scrum team fails. And it's kind of worked out because as it was an action item, I was always, following up on that, doing refinement, making sure everybody asks required question. And you know what happened? This next sprint, it seems the team is hitting all the goals. So what I learned from this is to make sure that to always try as much as possible to, what's the word to use? Work with the team so they're open with the product owner, with the SMEs, and try to ensure that they understand the user stories and estimation. Estimation is just an estimate, but we try as much as possible to try to understand what is needed to be done. And that is how I assess such a question. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that answer. Anyone else? Quickly. I don't know. Is it raining somewhere? Did we have a stressful day, just like myself? Because this room is so silent today. Anyone else wants to try? Diolu, can you give us a scenario?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Yes, I caught you. All right, no problem. I'll repeat. So the question is, tell me a time when your team was not meeting commitments.
Oh, I got that question. Well, I had an experience with my team where we have some body of work that we're doing that sometimes the stakeholders we get the work from, things keep changing. So what was happening was, with the constant changing, we're going back, starting again, rework. And what I was able to do is for us to engage the people we get the work from to ensure that the work is, typically the way we talk about the invest criteria, how much information do we know about it? Is there anything else they think we need to know before we start work? So we're able to get to that stage where we got to ask the right questions to confirm that this body of work is actually ready for us to deal with. And if it's not ready, when would it be ready so that we can get back to it? That was a good example because what happened was that we were building at the same time they were building as well. So they finish in this sprint, we pick up in the next sprint. So basically we had to get into that mode where keeping a constant touch with them, even we went as far as having daily status meetings where everybody gets to say what is happening with regards to the work so that there are no surprises end of the day. And that kind of helped us to know where things were so that we can plan accordingly.
Wow.
Thank you.
And thank you. And what was the result of that before you?
Well, one of the results of that is a 15-minute daily session. So everything that happens on a daily basis, basically imagine on what you probably call a Scrum of Scrum, but this is going across trains. A team on one train talking to a team on another train so that we're able to track and plan accordingly. So that kind of helped us so that we could plan our work better so that we don't have surprises.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm learning, and I believe all of us are learning. And aspiring Scrum Masters, I do believe that we are taking notes because these are like real life scenarios that we can use for our interviews. So thank you, Diolu, for that.
I don't know if I can say this is some a scenario based with regards to the team not meeting commitment, but I'll just say it. Well, it has to still be with the tester issue where the developers have all moved their stories and reassigned it to him for testing quality assurance. But because this guy is new, apparently he's not very versed with the Jira tool. He goes around, he's tested some of the developers, their stories, but what he fails to do is to reassign those that have failed their testing back to the developers. And so we are all of the presumption that everything is moving all right on his end. And then I'm monitoring the Jira board and I realized that it's already almost 2 days left. And I'm like, what's going on here? Why is every story still hanging? So I reach out to him and I'm like, is everything okay? He's like, no, everything's not okay. Everything's not okay. And I'm like, okay, so what's going on? It's like, some of the codes have failed. Some of the codes have failed. And so that's why I can move them. And I'm like, okay, if you can move the stories to dev done, then you should have reassigned them back to the developers. So all this time, the developers thought that everything is moving on well. For them, their job is done. And obviously it's moved to the tester and quality assurance. They're the ones who are taking care of that now. And so that's when I realized that, okay, then this is where the problem is. So I'm like, you are supposed to reassign those stories back to the developers and put a note so that they know that their codes have failed. And that's when he said, oh, I didn't know that that's what I was supposed to do. I thought they would see it on the Jira, but I said, no, they can't see it because it's under your control. So even if they see, they won't know, you have to reassign and notify them so that they know that there's some work pending for them to work on. So I guess that was the resolution I did because I had to reach out to them, to the quality assurance team, all the testers, and I had to only to find out that that's where that was the problem because he didn't master the tool. basically from where he came from, they weren't using Jira. So that's how I was able to, catch up with time before the sprint was, over, so that we're able to have at least the right velocity and not, have velocity that will not reflect a very good report at the end.
Sorry if I could ask, what was the tester talking about at stand-up? Was he coming to say everything is perfect? Okay. I tested everything.
That is the problem. He's in India. So he's in India. So he was hardly on daily stand-ups. So we always had to communicate with him by emails. So he was new. He was new. Everything was new. So first of all, he was first grumbling that he came on board and they're trying to put pressure on him because we're running out of time, and the stakeholders were like anxious and saying what's going on. They need us, we're almost getting to the deadline. We're supposed to see something. We're supposed to have at least review and demo something. So it was more of pressure on him, which of course I understand him because he just came on board and he was replacing another tester that for some reason his contract got finished, and the company for some reason they don't know why they didn't renew it and all of that. So it was just so much work for the guy. And then, so that was the problem. He was hardly on the daily stand-ups. We communicated on the conference.
Sorry for asking another question. What time do you do your daily stand-up? Because you made it sound like somebody on IST doesn't come for daily stand-up. Why I asked that question is I have a dev lead who is onshore, but she had a baby. She has about a 4 or 6 month old baby. So, and she's in PST, what's that, California time, 3 hours away from me. So our stand-up is about 5:15. So I've tried to get her to come for stand-up a few times, but sometimes she tries to make a comment and there's a baby crying there. So, and I know the challenge I'm going through because she's not available at stand-up. I have to almost chase her and find her to communicate things. So I'm thinking if you have somebody on IST who is not coming for stand-up and is actively testing,
because like I said,
so I'm thinking, what time do you do your stand-up?
Like I said, he's based in India.
Yeah, I know IST.
Okay, yes, and it's first of all an environment that they're actually moving, transitioning, and some of the things they don't even want to participate. There are developers that seem like they've been working there for a while, and the agile things first of all getting on their nerves. Too many meetings, or must we do this? I mean, is it not important so long as the things are moving on the Jira board? So it's really hard getting all of them on board. That's the first problem that we're facing there. So just to get hold of them, sometimes they talk of war. So the few that are able to connect on the Zoom, it's more like you're grateful and at least you work with those. And so communication is not very easy with that tester particularly. So it's mostly talking by emails and observing what he's doing on the Jira board. So we're getting there.
Wow, it's a challenge. I've never heard of that before. I thought my case was bad with my nursing mother.
Trust me, that cases are worst.
Who I haven't been able to call because I'm too scared to even push too much with her.
The other time they even said they don't want to do review, that they don't want to do anything stream review. And I said, why? This is nothing to review.
Okay.
So
that they should skip review, they should skip retrospective.
Thanks a lot for that anyway. So it's obvious that people are not wanting to participate in the ceremonies because I'm thinking, what is the tester doing if he's noticing things, he's keeping it to himself, not telling the rest of us? How are we meant to know? Get into his mind.
In his mind, he feels that they are seeing it on the Jira board that is pending. He doesn't know that he has to go back and reassign it. That was the problem. He didn't know that he had to reassign until when we had to reach out to him. And he now made it clear that those particular issues were pending and so have to go reassigned for the developers to work on them again. So
thanks a lot for that. It was a surprise to me. Maybe you need to look at a way to coach him to bring that kind of person into your stand-up.
Right.
Because most developers are not very good at looking at, once they finish their story, they just move on. To update the board alone is enough trouble.
Yeah, sometimes you have to move the stories yourself. You have to sometimes.
All right. But I think it's a good diversion because that's funnily enough, that's kind of like my next question. So, but we can do both together. But thank you, Lois, for that, and Diolo. So before we move into this ceremony issue of developers, that's a challenge, and we get that question a lot. But I mean, there's always that 1% in the development team that would probably try to give you an issue. So does anyone else want to try answering that question, or do we think we have enough answers already? They tell me about a time your team wasn't making commitment. Okay. Pascaline, are you still here? Because Humphrey, you want to talk?
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay, because I'm gonna call you like right after now. Humphrey, do you want to say something? Did I get her name right? Humphrey? Okay. So if I may add, so first thing that I want to say, because I know this is also, you know, for the purpose of people that are interviewing, when you are asked a question like this at an interview, know definitely for sure they are looking for a story, you know. So it's okay if you give them like a lot of, you know, reasons why this should happen, but make sure that you tell a story. And like Felix, if we follow his pattern and every other person that I've spoken, they talked about the situation, the task, you know, what exactly they did and the reason and the action they took and the result of that action. So when you're telling a story, you know, have a format like that to explain the things that happened, how you got to know what you did and the results. Some interviewers would ask you, okay, so what happened after then? What was the result? And some would not, they will not ask you. They will just be like, you should have known that you were supposed to tell them. So please take note of that. And let me just like add mine. The first one is like very close to what Lois said. So there was a time that we always have like a lot of stories in our QA lane. So we have QA lane before we get our stories to done. So we get a lot of stories like 3 days to the end of the sprint. All the stories will just come from nowhere. So to be like so much, and the QAs, we have 2 QAs on that team, they would never be able to finish it. So we at Retro, we talked about it. And then what we came up with, because of course the effect of that was that we were not meeting up the commitment, and the developers would have finished, but they finished late into the sprint. So we came up with a plan, like a new process that said a week to a new sprint. So we start sprint on Wednesday. So we said that by the next Friday, you know, like we start on this Wednesday, this Friday, then the next Friday. So by that Friday, all stories that need PR should have left the PR lane, no matter what. We all decided that. So they were held accountable for it. And the next sprint, we tried that. And by Friday, all the stories that needed PR were already in the PR lane. And what happened was that by the next Monday, stories started moving into the QA lane. And so we still had enough time in the sprint. And the QA, you know, they were no longer overwhelmed. And then they were able to finish on time. And then we were like finishing and completing whatever we committed to the sprint. That was one scenario. Another one was when I joined one of my team, I realized that they were overcommitting. So this could span to like a lot of reasons. They were overcommitting just because the product owner was always pushing for them to like commit a lot, you know, at sprint planning, like, okay, I need this to be done, I need that to be done, and all of that. So I had meeting with the team, and they were like, because one thing we should know is when the team is not completing their commitment, they get demotivated, kind of. They feel like they're not working, and they are. So I explained to the product owner what velocity is, and, you know, share the average velocity with him. So I shared my screen, showed him what the velocity of the team is at that time. And I'm like, okay, so this is, I believe, what they are comfortable working on. So for now, let's get them on a stable velocity. Once we get them on a stable velocity, yes, we can improve the velocity, but not yet. So I coached him and the tech lead, because they were always the ones, you know, saying, oh, let's try and do this. And so the result was that the next sprint, we put in, the capacity that the team could fill in. Of course, we look at that pass velocity and the average velocity, and they were able to complete. And then after like few sprints later, we're like upping it a little by like few story points. And another time, another reason could be capacity issue. So say we have a full team this sprint, and we have like 3 people on PTO next sprint. You cannot pull in the same amount of story that you pull in the last sprint. So this new sprint, you have to always check the capacity of the team. And so that could be one reason. Another reason is when requirements are constantly changing. Like every time the PO is coming and saying, okay, hey, I want you to have this, I want you to have this. And at the end of the day, and then the last one, I'm trying to rush it because I don't want to be talking so much. Another one that you can give is that you had too much stories with dependencies in the sprint. When you have too much story with dependencies or big stories, there is all tendency that you will carry over some of the stories, like every time. So what you would do as a Scrum Master, that didn't happen, but what you can do is to coach the team that one of the investors says that a story has to be independent before you pull it into the sprint. So at sprint planning, when there are like a lot of stories with dependency, you want to negotiate and say, hey, do we have to do this now? Because this is a dependency. So do we have a timeline for this dependency to be resolved? If they don't have it, then you can say, okay, I think we should not pull it in, like if we can wait, let's just wait so we are sure of when it is going to be done. So those are like some scenarios that we can like add flesh to, and use as scenarios for interview. Was that helpful? And thank you everybody that gave answer to that question. And quickly to the stand-up thing, are we good, Diolu and Lois? Should we talk about that or we just move on?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Pascaline, I'll hand over to you. What's the time? Okay, I think it's 10:20 already. Wow. All right. I think this would be a good spot to stop, to end today's meeting. I hope. So Pascaline.
Yes, I'm right
Pascaline,
here. Thanks.
so this
Yes.
is retro time. So could you do a retro before we go?
Okay.
All right.
So can we quickly, each and every one of us, say what we liked about this session, what we didn't like, and what we can improve upon? Any shout outs?
I'll go ahead. Hello, Mary. I think you did a good job. And I like how that when it was quiet, you called on people individually, because as you called on people individually, you was able to facilitate the conversation or move the conversation forward. And some people added some good value to it. So I think that, when needed, you should call on people. And if they know the answer, hey, if they don't, just move on to the next one. And I like how when no one answered, you tried to offer an explanation, or you just asked if we should move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Next person. Do I have to call names? Maybe that's what I learned today.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Mary, you did an awesome job. You did a great job. First thing first, whose idea was that that brought the music thing? That okay, that's a welcome development, kind of things that will inspire while we are waiting for other members to come in, that can come into the background. We can adopt that and put it next is it meeting now? Let's speak our Scrum language. Iteration. Okay. So the icebreaker, you know, that those ideas coming in. This will even help upcoming Scrum masters like me really have a working knowledge. So when you are managing your information, I don't call it lies. When you are managing your information to your interviewers, you're talking like, yes, this is real. This is for real. Yeah. So, good job. Thanks.
Right. Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys, we have.
Okay, I just want to quickly add this what we can improve on. Like for instance, when Sarita people were talking about the difficulty they were having with the team, one or two of them not attending the daily stand-up and how it affected the progress of the team and the deliverables. Kind of, you know, we had this mindset that this event will definitely occur, and it's kind of shocking when you hear experience of Scrum Master having it so difficult with their Scrum team product owner. So now we had this, but what can be done if anybody encounters such again? So that's what sometimes when we talk about this experience, we want people who have either experienced it before or something similar to tell us, because it can't continue like that and we can just leave it to go on, especially for upcoming Scrum. You know, for people who have been a Scrum Master over time, you know, they might be able to like, okay, they won't feel so downcasted. But for new Scrum members, it might discourage them a lot. I mean, for new Scrum Master rather, it might discourage them a lot and feel like, oh, am I caught out for this, or am I getting it wrong, or am I failing? You know, so when we bring up experience like that, and let's also get what can be done, practical things that can be done, not by the book things, you know.
All right, thank you, TJ. If I may ask, I think we can definitely do this. Maybe next time we'll talk about challenges, because you're very right. But I think the reason we didn't continue on that was because of our time.
Our time.
Yes. So if we all vote to like continue, maybe next
So
week.
let's kind of put this as an action point that we're gonna discuss next time, so we don't just forget it.
Retro, guys. I like that. Action item. All right, let's note it down. We can, if we all agree, because it's gonna be helpful. So because of the time, if this was very productive for you, okay, not let me put very, but if this was productive, can you like just give it thumbs up? You can do that with the reaction. You can use the reaction button and give it thumbs up. I know that most people don't want to talk. Okay, keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. All right, thank you very much, everyone. And I believe that we'll take every action plan we talk about to heart. So, and thank you for being open to talk. And those of us that are not active today, next time,
Mary.
Right. Felix.
Hey Mary, I know you're trying to close it out, but before we go, at the beginning of the session, I put up the facilitation sheet into chat. So if you want to facilitate any of our sessions, please just go on that sheet. It's a OneDrive document, and then put up your name and the dates that you want to facilitate. We run our sessions every Wednesdays, 8:30 to 10:30, and one Saturday every month. That Saturday will be posted to the group chat. I also put up links to all our social media platforms. So you could, if you are not part of any of our groups, you're on Telegram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, YouTube. As you notice, we are recording this session. It's be posted on our LinkedIn, on our YouTube platform. So anybody could go in there and then, watch it later. If there's something you skip, be able to go back there to be able to recall and learn more. Thank you. Hand over back to Mary. And
yeah, thank you so much for that, Felix. So we got all that information. Let's make good use of it. And for those that are aspiring Scrum Masters, please try and try to facilitate this. This is where you can learn, so just try and do it. It's not that hard. It's not even hard, you say, because this is really like a real life experience. And it's 10:28. Do we have any last minute question or anything we'd like to talk about before we go? Ding, 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 ding. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll let everyone go. Thank you very much and have a very beautiful night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.